What's up, everyone? This is Connors, aka Adam, back with another WWE Week in Review, where I recap and review everything that took place this week on both Raw, NXT, Smackdown. I try not to delve too much into the news and stuff that goes on, because I'm not really a news guy. I'm more, just kind of reviewing everything. I'm not actually a journalist, but there are some significant things that have popped up that maybe I'll touch on during my review. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Social media is down there. Check me out. As well on my channel, I just put up my AEW Week in Review, as well as my AEW All Out preview and predictions that's going on tonight. I'll also have my AEW All Out reaction results probably tomorrow. So, check those out. I'll have links at the end of the video for both of those. Not the reaction results, because that hasn't happened yet. But because there's a lot to do, I'm going to try and get through these as quickly as possible and as accurately as possible. So we're going to start out with Raw. So Orton's match comes out. We find out there are going to be 3 singles matches, the winners of which will have a triple threat match, and that winner will then take on Drew at Clash of Champions. Orton's saying that Drew only deserves to be in pain, doesn't deserve to be a champ. Apparently Randy Curse, I forgot exactly what he said, he got bleeped though. Doesn't think he should face Kevin Owens in one of the qualifiers. Goes over the list of those he's punted. Had a stupid pickup. Not normally his style, but whatever. Keith Lee's music hits. He's doing his best. Clearly, Orton is doing his best to forget that he lost to Keith Lee. Maybe he should get the title shot since he beat Keith Lee. Dolph attacks Keith Lee, so apparently that was his qualifying match, which obviously you're like, oh, here we go. Everyone has to go through Dolph or gets into a program with Dolph. But Dolph has actually looked pretty good the last couple of weeks, especially on Raw Underground. He's been doing some really good work there. It goes straight into the Keith Lee-Dolph qualifying match. Dolph slingshot into the top turnbuckle. Dolph is able to get Lee to the ground using a chicken wing submission. He gets pounced. Hits the Famouser, which is pretty good, but it only gets a 2 count. Keith Lee hits this kind of like Tour of the Island slam. We get the zigzag by Dolph, which is the second or tied for first least protected finishers in all of wrestling besides the skull crushing finale. Obviously only gets a 2 count. Goes for a super kick, but is actually caught into a spirit bomb, gets absolutely destroyed for the win. Keith Lee advances. We find out that Rey Mysterio suffered an injury, torn tricep, which is why Dominic will face Seth in his place, because obviously they had been pushing for the match with Rey and Seth again. The thing that I do find a little interesting, is, we did find out that he did, the injury was real. He opted, because it was only a partial tear, not a full tear, that he's opted for rehab, which will allow him to come back sooner than if he did have the actual surgery. It's very unfortunate. Obviously, Ray can't catch a break. He's had a string of injuries recently. It doesn't help that he's obviously on the older side, but obviously getting to work with his son, Dominic, that's obviously very frustrating for him, I'm sure. We get a recap of the women's tag match, backstage interview with the champs. Nia says she did all the work. Asuka comes into frame saying she wants her next opponent. Kicks Shayna, and Nia steps in and then walks off. Adam Pearce is talking to the jobber security, telling them that he wants them all to kind of, pay attention, get to their post, not let anything happen. Asuka with an in-ring interview. She's beaten everybody. She's ready for anything. Mickie James' music hits. James recognizes greatness when she sees it. Natalia's music hits, and I literally put yawn. Mickie has had the same gear since the 90s, which is not true. She's actually changed it up. She no longer has the kind of skirt thing. They start jawing. Lana and Natalya jump Asuka and Mickie. Lana and Natalya are sent to the floor. We get a recap of Hurt Business and Raw Underground from last week. Vikings and Cedric are getting ready for their 6-man tag. Demi comes out and says that she supports Cedric turning them down. Angel comes into frame like a creep with a rose in his hand, kind of like they leave and he's kind of just staring off. But because of what happened with the ladies, we have a Mickie James versus Lana match. Mickie with the Mick kick for the win, really pretty, or is it chick kick? I forget what it is. Stares down with Asuka, so it looks like we're probably going to get an Asuka Mickie James. Obviously they had a very really good match back in NXT. I wasn't watching NXT at this time, so I don't know of it. I just know about it. A couple of things, some key news notes. I guess I'll get to at the end. We get a recap with Alistair and Kevin Owens. Charlie trying to get an interview with Alistair. Randy comes out of the room saying he had to prove it. I don't know what that's about. I forget. But Charlie didn't see Randy come out of Alistair's room. So we get the next match is in the for the triple threat. Randy versus KO. Alistair with a blindside attack. KO is woozy, but he allows the match to go on. Pretty quickly, Randy hits an RKO for the win. So obviously they're pushing the KO and Aleister Black storyline forward. We're going to see them for several matches. Randy Orton gets obviously the very easy win to get into the triple threat later tonight. MVP Lounge. Lashley is a special guest. Death, taxes, and Lashley. Those are 3 certainties in life. Shelton says he's facing Apollo in Raw Underground tonight. Cedric's music hits. He hasn't changed his mind about joining and didn't come alone. The Raiders come out and they all attack. So then we get that 6-man tag, Cedric and the Raiders versus the Hurt Business. Shelton catches a knee from Eric. Cedric rolls up MVP for the win. MVP smiling, almost like surprised, but he looks somewhat proud, kind of allowing this to go on. But then he holds Hurt Business back from, beating Cedric up. Cedric looks really shook, like he's about to get his ass kicked. MVP holds him back, almost like he's, hey, like, I'm telling you, like, I'm not trying to hurt you. I want you to join us. But they just attack him backstage. So it's counterproductive to that. Apollo and Ricochet show up. Ricochet, I don't know why I said it like that. Ricochet show up. We get it, Rick. He keeps going like, we're here now. We get it, we're here now. I was like, we get it, Ricochet. You're here now. As if you weren't there before. Selling the fact like you guys weren't there for him. But it was like, first off, why weren't they there in that match? Why was it the Viking Raiders? Also, I mean, we've seen it 1,000 times, so it's almost all right there. But he had the Viking Raiders. It's not like he was alone. So I don't know. Then we get I don't know how I feel about this whole situation. So we get the Iconics versus the Riot Squad, which is like, I don't even know at this point. I think it's been like 8 or 9 matches over the past couple months. But then we find out the winner gets a future tag title shot. And then, as like a throwaway line, the loser breaks up. So, of all the matches they've had together, where this is supposedly, they were pushing how the Iconics were pushing that the Riot Squad wasn't, a real team. They were teasing all these issues between them. And the Iconics have like a backstage interview where they're talking about how like they're been together since high school and all this stuff. They get a 3-minute match. Liv with the drop kick to Peyton, draped on the middle rope for a 2 count. Lots of unnecessary screaming, I see. Liv loves the step up insecurities. I mean, she does that. Pinning attempts between Ruby and Billy over and over again. Ruby eventually stacks up Billy for the win. The Iconics are flipping out, crying in the ring. They're done. So now we've heard rumors that Vince has been kind of really pushing for Peyton to have a singles run. I like Peyton, I like Billy. I've grown to like them obviously a lot more, both their characters and their in-ring work. I don't see Peyton like taking on Shayna Baszler. I don't, or putting up a really good fight against Shayna Baszler or Nia Jax or Becky Lynch or Charlotte. So I don't exactly know what exactly they're doing here. Is it because of her looks? She's been doing those fitness contests lately. Unfortunately, Vince has been prone to do things like that. Is this some kind of making sure that she stays around because of the fact that, what's her name? Sean Spears, maybe there's some kind of thing with Sean Spears because Sean Spears is her husband. He's in AEW. Does that factor into it? I don't know. But it just sucks because Billy, it feels like she's, we see later she's going to kind of get the short end of the stick here and, maybe be off television for a while. Who knows? Anyway, Shane's giving the bouncer the rundown for our benefit, clearly. So we get another recap of Seth and the Mysterio family. We've seen this done to death at this point. I know pretty much everything that's happened in their history already. We then get our next qualifier, or our final qualifier, Seth versus Dominic. Seth is berating Buddy in the ring, said he can't have Buddy screwing everything up for him. So he's kicks him out, kind of gives him a slap on the way out. Dominic takes out Buddy on the ramp, goes right after Seth. One thing Dominic is, Yeah, so the one thing I was saying that Dominic has to worry about in his in-ring ability is just very predictable moveset. I know he's new, and maybe that's why. I just hope that it's just like he does the arm drag, he does the drop, he does the front, but there's no really like, it's almost predictable. But I think I'm fine with it for now because I know he's new to the whole experience here, and he looks great doing it. So I don't have a problem with it. But I'm just saying I just want him to maybe expand on the moveset. I'm sure that's something he's working on. I'm not anybody to like really tell him, he's doing anything wrong. From what I've seen, I'm predicting his moves in the ring pretty regularly now. And if I'm doing it, that's a problem because I'm, a nobody. We get a senton off the announce desk onto Seth. We get Seth focusing on the midsection. Buckle bomb attempt. Dom Ron Seth into the corner. Tornado DDT by Dom for a 2 count. Splash from the top to the outside on Seth. 619, but he misses the frog splash. Seth hits the stomp for the win. Seth hits another stomp, and then constant back and forth. Looks to the Mysterio family. But then it was really weird because Ray was like, "Oh, let me go," because he's with his wife and daughter, and you think he's going to come out to the ring. You don't see him for the rest of the show. So I didn't understand that. We get our first shot at Raw Underground. We had been told that Titus O'Neil would be in there. He's destroying a jobber. Does this crazy one-handed chokeslam, looking super aggressive. Another jobber comes in, same result, beats him up. Riddick Moss steps up. He gets 2 takedowns and then looks like he hits a stiff punch on Titus O'Neil. Fight to the floor. KO, knockout punch by Riddick Moss back on the mat, and he wins. We get a promo by Street Profits, tag team tornado match. I feel like this is going to be another Raider situation with Andrade and Angel Garza. You can tell they have no tag team, so they just keep doing this. We get this Coach Dawkins segment where he's making fun of Andrade, Angel, and Zelina about Zelina's height. Angel maybe having, is he rich because he's wearing tracksuits, but he's always wearing the same tracksuit? And why is Andrade always mad if he says he's tranquilo? Whatever. 24/7 title thing. Akira arrives earlier today with the ninjas to the garage. The attendant says he's not on the list. He looks at the list himself. He gets out of the truck, looks at the list. It's blank. He opens up the jacket. Turns out it's a ref. Truth rolls him up for the win. And then Truth goes, "That's what you get for going Cobra Kai." As someone who just recently binge watched seasons 1 and 2, one of my favorite TV shows right now. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. This is not some kind of ad or plug or anything, but Cobra Kai on Netflix, awesome. Can't wait for season 3. We then get our tag team tornado match, Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel. They keep doing the cup drop for the entrance of Street Profits. Hopefully they're recycling those because that just seems like a big waste. Demi comes out with Angel Garza, double suplex, powerbomb spot, the Tower of Doom thing. Ford gets posted, Andrade with the armbar on Dawkins over the rope. We get the running kick to Dawkins in the Tree of Woe. Assisted Del Rio stomp. I'm actually happy about that. Ford breaks the count. Back elbow by Andrade on Dawkins. The lights start to flicker. Garza immediately grabs Demi and runs off. Retribution circle the ring and attack. Zelina is like surrounded by 3 of them. I actually like this because she's kind of like looking around. She's like, all right, I guess I got to do it, and just starts fighting them. She gets tossed into the barricade though. Eventually they run off. Retribution or Restoration, which you find out later. Pierce is screaming at security that they let them in. We get Raw Underground back again. The Iconics are there. They're upset, but Shane kind of gets them to relax and, kind of like embrace, be happy, that they're here. They can just kind of relax. So they're like, all right, we'll try to take our mind off things. We get Jessamine Duke versus some person last name Taylor. Duke with the quick beatdown. Knee sends her out. Another girl steps up. Shafir wants some. Shafir with the triangle for the win. They challenge the Iconics, who look like they're about to get in, but Peyton pushes Billy in. Duke with the kick knockout on Billy. So this is where I was saying where it just looks like kind of now they're done and Billy's going to be off television for a little bit. Recap of Cedric and the Hurt Business. Ricochet and Cedric are pumping up Apollo in front of Raw Underground. Charlie says it's been a rough 24 hours for them. Ricochet has done nothing, so I don't know what's been really rough for him. Apollo says he's not the same man. He's going to get back his title. Ricochet saying their friendship is stronger than any amount. You can see Cedric kind of the wheels turning, kind of looking like sort of like okay with it, but maybe not. So we get Apollo versus Shelton. Shelton with the takedown. Apollo gets the Kimura. Shelton sends them off the mat. 3-on-3 fight breaks out. her business, just absolutely beat the shit out of them and leave them lying in the ring. Angel and Demi are trying to leave. Demi's saying he shouldn't abandon them. He's like, they're trained fighters. He's only concerned about her safety. Demi is a little too much with the smile. She also then calls them restoration at some point, so that's pretty funny. Retribution comes barreling through a door, throwing some production assistant on the floor. We pan to Angel Garza. He's just running away, leaves Demi by herself, and then the women of Retribution come to the front as if they're about to try and go after Demi. One of them is definitely Mia Yim. She runs off. Demi runs off. We then get our main event triple threat number one contender, Randy, Lee, and Seth. Randy says he's already worked tonight, so he's kind of stepping out. Let Seth go with Lee. Seth leaves to two because he's like, hey, I thought we were gonna work together on this. He's like, nah, I'm good. Slingshot crossbody by Lee on both of them in the ring. Lee tries it again. Seth catches him with a drop kick. Randy drops Lee on the announce desk again. Still doesn't break. Both send Lee into the steps. Hits a draping DDT on Seth. Randy does for a 2 count. RKO attempt, countered into the Falcon Arrow for a 2 count. Lee does his kind of like, rising from the frame, but they actually had a really shitty camera angle, so it wasn't good. It was basically like an overhead view, so there was no kind of, gravitas to the shot, I guess you would say. Lee throws Seth into Orton. Orton pounds to the outside. Seth with a suicide dive, caught and thrown over the desk. Spirit bomb on Seth. But then Orton hits an RKO on Lee, covers Seth for the win. So Orton will be going to Clash of Champions versus versus Drew McIntyre. Provided Drew McIntyre is okay, but we have to assume he will be. We then get NXT 6-man street fight. Also some notes on Raw. It looks like there are rumors that Retribution will now be strictly on Raw, which makes zero sense and kind of stupid. And because they were barely even mentioned on SmackDown, if at all. I don't even remember if they were or not, but they were not at all seen. There was no flickering of the lights, no production issues, no nothing. So it looks like they're going to be just for Raw, which makes no sense. There better be a good freaking explanation for why they just all of a sudden abandoned doing things to SmackDown when it's in the same freaking place. So that's that. So we get NXT 6-man street fight, Legado del Fantasma, Swerve and Breezango. Santos still has the great jacket in the street fight gear. Shock Breezango didn't have any kind of fun street fight gear. They just had their normal stuff. Mendoza and Wild sent into the group. Mendoza puts on the brakes to a chair in the corner. Swerve then drop kicks him into it. Fandango swinging with the ladder. LDF stupidly just walks into it. That looked pretty stupid. Breeze does a slingshot into Mendoza's balls, which is pretty funny. Breeze extinguishes LDF with a fire extinguisher. During the break, Fandango sent through a table. Flatliner by Swerve on Mendoza. We get a great suicide dive by Santos on Swerve into the barricade. Imperium show up. They gang up on Breeze. Fandango and Swerve all of a sudden come into frame when a forklift brings them above the ring, so they do a double sentons on everybody. Breezango with the top rope splash to the outside. They leave Santos and Swerve. Swerve hits the JML driver on Santos for the win. So this is a really good match. I don't know what they're doing with Imperium now because I was under the impression they dropped the belts and that they were eventually going to go back to NXT UK. But I mean maybe there's problems with travel, so I don't know. We get Johnny backstage prepping. We get Finn backstage prepping. Quick shot of them. We get a Tegan Candice video package, but this time it's from Tegan's perspective. Again, she wants to hash it out over a glass of wine. Obviously, that's not going to happen. We then get Candice LeRae versus Casey Catanzaro. Caden Carter out with Casey. Candice with the draping neck breaker. Sliding drop kick sends Casey to the floor. We get the flip axe kick by Casey on Candice's back for a 2 count. We get a Muda lock into a stomp for the win by Candice. I mean, that stomp is just vicious. We get a post-match promo by Candice. I think the recruits were getting a little too loud, a little too much with the heckling. Maybe it's just Eric Bouge, because you could see him like poking his head out around the plexiglass to try and get into frame. He's having a little too much fun with it, but they were like really just giving her the business, which is fine, but like when she's cutting a promo, you don't really need to do that. She says she wants to hash it out. Tegan will come to their house. Dinner's on her. We know that that's obviously not going to work. Rhea promo on Mercedes Martinez, tired of her and the Stone brand. She wants Mercedes in a steel cage next week. We get Bronson Reed versus Timothy Thatcher. So apparently Timothy Thatcher just doesn't automatically get a title shot, which he shouldn't have. So we get Thatch trying to go for an arm submissions, but Bronson no selling pretty much everything to start. Does the senton on Thatch. Thatch with the arm wringer sends Bronson to the mat, shoulder first. So he's selling the shoulder injury. Bronson hits a suicide dive. Bronson selling his elbow shoulder. When he tries to go back in the ring when Thatch is got the ref turn, Austin Theory comes out with the bulldog. Thatch eventually gets the Fujiwara armbar for submission. So now obviously to kind of keep Bronson out of the North American title, he'll have a stupid program with Theory for a little bit where he'll win, but they'll have like 5 matches because now they're becoming more WWE. Thatcher will get a match against against Xavier Priest, and he'll lose that because that's what he does now. Cole and the Undisputed Era, they're getting psyched up. Ciampa's getting ready. Mercedes says she accepts the match next week. We then have our main event, which is a 60-man Ironman match. So it's Gargano, Baylor, Ciampa, Cole. I mean, there's just so much here. I don't know if I can go through all of it because it was an awesome match. So we get, let's see, who gets the first fall? So the first fall doesn't come until about 30-something minutes in. I mean, there was just, everyone was getting their stuff in. I mean, this was just really well booked. We get Finn hits the coup de grace on Cole for the first fall. We get a super kick party on everyone, and I actually put this in bold because there was a very rough Panama Sunrise on Gargano. So Willow's Bell on Finn, fairy tale ending. Gargano steals the pin for the second fall. He throws Ciampa out of the ring, so he gets the second fall. But then, there was a really rough Panama Sunrise on Gargano. It's like, why does he have to be taking all the neck shots and all that stuff? But Cole gets the third fall there. So it's then the fairy tale ending on Cole for the fourth fall. Everyone's tied at 1. We get here for the... Let's see. So Ciampa then does an air raid crash on Gargano. Finn hits the coup de grace for the 5th fall with 10 seconds left. He's celebrating, thinking he won. Cole hits the last shot on Finn. It was great timing though because it looked like Finn wouldn't turn over. Then he gets him to turn over. So I assume this is obviously play with some of the. I don't think that they timed this perfectly. It was probably more along the lines of production. We're able to sync up the time to make it work. But he flips Finn over, gets the pin at the buzzer. So Regal comes out because both of them are saying that they won, which makes no sense because neither of them had the most falls. You hear Regal say next week, 1-on-1, 1 fall to a finish. The winner will be the NXT champion. So I know a lot of people were very upset, because they think, okay, well, this was just a ratings grab to set up for next week. We have 60 minutes. We don't get a winner. Sure, it would have been nice to get an overtime and get a winner here. I'm fine with it because the match was fantastic, well booked. Everyone got their spots in. Everyone looked great. No one looked bad in this. And I think it was a right match because I think that this makes sense. Cole was the longest reigning NXT champion, which makes sense that he would be one of the top people to get in there. Ciampa just came back. Gargano, I still think, is still working through what his gimmick and his storyline is going to be. Finn has needed this. Finn will win this, but I think that him versus Cole, kind of like a real passing of the torch from one champ to the next champ. I find that to be right because Lee and and Cross were basically almost transitional champions the way it happened like that. All right, so then we get to SmackDown. I apologize if I missed anything here. I was super tired last night, so I did pretty copious notes, but I also was, I definitely missed some stuff, I'm sure. Okay. So we get a recap of what time Reigns finally entered the match. They were doing that kind of thing. Reigns is out with Heyman. Shirt says show up and win. When you thought I was out, he pulled me back in. That is Heyman talking. Reigns was the one corrupting him. Reigns rescued Heyman from obscurity after what, he's saying that no one thanked. no one thanked Reigns. And then what did they do with his title while he was gone? Well, he was gone. He couldn't defend the title, so they had to have actual people fighting it. And he wasn't even the champ before, he wasn't the champ before he had to leave for Corona anyway. So it's just, I don't get that part. Heyman should not be bringing up Fox News at all. I mean, I won't say any more about that. Raw did a triple threat. He said, we're going to do it bigger. We're going to do it better. There's going to be a fatal 4-way, but there were no qualifier matches for it. So, I don't know. There was more people in the main match, but there was no qualifiers for it. Heyman calls commentary Anderson Cooper and Carmella's latest boyfriend. It's funny that never mind. Heyman is special counsel and does his shtick. Raymond says he's a man of his word and did what he said he was going to do. So we find out it's going to be Sheamus, Big E, Riddle, and Corbin will be in the fatal 4-way. Okay. Heavy Machinery versus Miz and Morrison. Pretty decent match, but Heavy Machinery dominated pretty much the whole time. Obviously, we get Heavy Machinery, Otis doing his, getting hulked up spot, getting kicked in the stomach. Does the Caterpillar on Miz, and then does the Vader Bomb, which I'm happy about because the Caterpillar is a stupid finisher and doesn't deserve to be a finisher. And then Morrison runs off with the Money in the Bank briefcase, not the lunchbox. That'll play in later. Big E and with Gulak and Lucha House Party, who apparently is now all buddy, and Gulak is cool with a birthday hat on. They have a birthday cake for Woods because he's back on Talking Smack and it's his birthday. He's getting pumped up for the 4-way as well. Some security guy comes and says that Woods is here. For some reason, Big E goes out with the cake. He catches a beatdown from Sheamus, brogue kick into the garage door, slammed on the car hood, and then gets the white noise air raid crash on the windshield. Looked rough. Come back from break. EMTs are tending to Big E. Kayla says there's lacerations and possible other internal injuries. Sheamus then comes into frame and is getting an interview while they're tending to Big E. It was pretty funny. Sheamus says he can't take his eyes off him. Says Big E attacked him first. Said this went way too long by Sheamus though. Comes back to say that it's probably going to be a triple threat match now. We get a recap of the women's tag match, backstage interview with the Golden Role Models. Now they know how to prepare for Nia and Shayna. Bayley has been tapped out the last 3 times. She's not happy to hear that. Sasha gets pissed and goes over Bayley's bona fides and says, she'll be fine. Backstage with Adam Pearce, Big E will not be in the match tonight. Heyman comes out, says, let's talk. So then we get the women's tag title match, Sasha and Bayley versus Shayna and Nia. We get a weird pre-match video from Cesaro and Shinsuke. Whoever wins, they're going to be in the Champions Lounge. Stereo swinging into the barricade. Bayley and Sasha with close 2 counts on Shayna. Bayley misses the Meteora, goes into the post on the apron. Shayna chop block on the knee. We get Shayna goes for the double submission, the Moodalock choke again, but Bayley breaks it up, hits a belly to belly. Sasha with the bank statement. Nia takes out Bayley and breaks up the submission. Nia goes for the stretch muffler on Sasha. She's able to counter that into a pinning attempt. Nia eventually gets on the second rope, hits a crossbody on both of them for the win. The EMTs are coming in to check on Sasha's knee. Bayley shows concern. Back from break, they're still working on Sasha. She's pushing everyone away. She doesn't want their help. Bayley goes to help her. And, they get to the apron. She snaps. Just an absolute crazy beatdown on the outside, throwing her into the steps, beating her up, throws her back into the ring. Goes to Cole. Is it boss time now, Cole? Is it boss time now? Which I thought was pretty funny. Stomps to Sasha's head in the chair when she has her head in the chair. That was rough. Sasha is loaded into an ambulance. It's the second start tonight that's been loaded into an ambulance. While that's going on, Sami Zayn music hits. He looks like a mess. Recap of last week's return. Mad that he didn't get, introduced as the Intercontinental Champ. Didn't get it in his lower third. Talks to someone in the production about it. Hardy's music hits. They argue. AJ comes out. He's the uncrowned champ. Fight breaks out. They all hit their finishers. Sami is the one pretty much standing tall, though, so I'm assuming we'll get some kind of triple threat at Classic Champions. Jey Uso is the one who's now added to the Fatal 4-Way. We get this weird kind of promo of some woman walking in heels in a fur coat, but that we only see from the knees down, so I don't know if it's going to be Carmella or Billie Kay maybe, or Peyton, or some repackaging of Lacey Evans or something, I don't know. Tucker says he's been looking all over, can't find Miz or Morrison. Otis said it's all right, but he's like, no, he's got your contract. He's like, Oh yeah, also something that happened in the tag match was that Cole had mentioned that the Money in the Bank contract is for the Universal title, as if it's not for any title at all. So the theory that Otis will use it for the tag team title makes it less and less likely, which means that he's obviously going to get just the shit kicked out of him by Roman when he finally does it. But unless they decide, he asked, for special consideration to be able to use it for tag match. So yeah, he says he doesn't keep the contract in there. He keeps it in his lunchbox, and opens it up. So then we cut to Miz and Morrison in some random room. Miz says, just because you have the case doesn't mean you're Mr. Money in the Bank. Morrison opens up. There's a stapler, some shredded paper, and an old sandwich. He goes to eat it. Miz says, don't. Jay comes over to Roman while he's in his dressing room, says thank him for getting him in the match. Roman's like, don't thank me, thank Paul. He's like, your brother would win this. I've won stuff. Looks like you got to win this on your own now. Jay says he will. Also, earlier on, I forgot to mention when Roman and Heyman were coming down outside after their promo. Jay comes up to them. Roman, tells Heyman he can go along. He's saying, what's going on here? I've been trying to call you. He's like, oh, I've been busy. He's like, well, what's going on with Paul Lee? He said, don't worry about it. I got that handle. He's like, all right, if you ever need somebody to get you back, I got you back. He's like, I know. And then he's like, all right, I'll talk to you later. He's like, maybe we can go for a steak after. He goes, yeah, well, you want to go for a steak after Roman's already left. So we get the Fatal 4-Way match, Riddle, Corbin, Sheamus, Uso. This was really weird because, Riddle comes out, we get the commercial break. Corbin says this match is tainted by nepotism. Riddle runs up, they're fighting. Sheamus meets up with them. Jay meets up with them. We get a new tagline for Clash of Champions. It's called the Gold Rush. I don't understand. But, in between these, we get a Firefly Funhouse. He says he's a little down the dumps because the Fiend lost his favorite toy, but a new friend will be coming to the Funhouse next week. During one of the other commercial breaks, we then get Nikki is watching the match, but obviously it's a little different. Finally, we get it from behind the TV for a change, which is interesting. Alexa comes up, apologizes for the mug. Nikki says, forgive her, and then before she gets something out, Alexa hugs her. But while this is all going on, we see Rambling Rabbit in the background. So we get Riddle and Uso trade roll-ups on one another. Corbin and Sheamus team up against Riddle, then Uso. We get a deep six, an Irish curse backbreaker. Each one of them get one on the other. We get tandem pins for a 2 count. Riddle hits a PK and a Broton, and then a German with a bridge to Sheamus for a 2 count. Sheamus gets the cloverleaf on Riddle. Uso super kicks him to break it up. Uso super kicks the field. Corbin stops the suicide dive attempt. He then throws Uso into the over the what do you call it, screens into the WWE Thunderdome universe or whatever you want to call it. It was kind of funny. We get a floating bro on Corbin, but then what happens is Uso hits the splash on Riddle for the pin. He wins, so he will be going to Clash of Champions against Roman to get absolutely slaughtered. In-ring interview says he made the family proud too. He said welcome, and he says you know the rest, and that is everything that happened in WWE this week. Not bad, 33 minutes so far. Another thing obviously that's big on the news is the directive from management about the not using third-party platforms to promote themselves, whether or not who owns the intellectual property of not only their ring names but their actual names. As a lawyer, this is very interesting stuff, but because we don't know the exact nature of the contracts of what exactly is owned, even though they are considered independent contractors, what is owned, what are they allowed to do with that intellectual property outside of what's in the WWE. The directive from Vince, we don't know exactly what it entails, what the letter entails. So I don't want to put any kind of legal analysis on it or opine on it. Just on a surface level, though, if everything is to be believed as it's said, it doesn't sound very good. I mean, obviously, taking a possible revenue stream away from people during this time. And even if not, even if it's just like, we're going to be doing our own thing, which we know WWE won't do it well as good as Cameo or Twitch or any other platforms, especially because these guys, they're established platforms. You're not going to get people that to go, there are people that don't really watch WWE but follow them on their Twitch, their Cameo, their Twitter, their whatever else. So it gives them exposure. It gives the WWE exposure. It gives them an opportunity to make some money that they're losing now because they don't have the same kind of merch sales. They don't have the same kind of live event schedule, those type of things. So it is very disheartening to hear that. Obviously, I'm going to be in a wait and see approach because I really want to understand it more fully before I give my thoughts on it. I do think there was no retribution, like I said, on SmackDown. I think that's really stupid. I really think that relegating them without a clear cut understanding of why. Maybe if it's someone who's the leader, I don't know. So anyway, as always, I give my match of the week. That is definitely going to the 60-man Ironman match. Even though there wasn't a finish, I still think it was awesome. I think it was a great match, well booked. Everyone got their spots. Everyone looked great in it. I think it was the right outcome as far as either it was Finn or Cole who was going to win. I think their match next week is going to be absolutely just a banger match. So yeah, that's everything with WWE Week in Review. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Social media is down there. Also, don't forget I have my AEW Week in Review as well as my AEW All Out preview and predictions. Links will be at the end of this video. And enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Love each other. And bye now.